Okay, I'm so excited to introduce my coworker, my friend and mentor, Cathy Parks from Level Up RN, who is going to be talking to us today about resiliency and advice for new grads. And I'm super excited to hear everything that she has to say. So without any further ado, here's Cathy.
All right. Thank you so much, Maris. So happy to be here today. And Ohio really holds a special place in my heart. That's where I had my first job when I got out of college for my first degree in engineering. So I went to work for Procter and Gamble in Cincinnati. And Cincinnati is where I met and married my husband. And we've been married for 26 years and counting. And it's where I've made a lot of really special lifelong friends. And so Ohio is a great place with really awesome people. And actually a couple of our key team members, Maris and Lacey, are from Ohio, from Columbus. So Ohio's just got it all going on. So thank you so much for inviting me here today to talk to you guys. So let me start by saying congratulations for getting to this point in your nursing journey. So the last couple years have not been easy, and I know it's made things really difficult for you guys. Nursing school is hard enough without a pandemic going on. And you guys, have had to really overcome a lot of obstacles. You've, possibly had classes delayed or canceled. You've had online classes. You've had like simulations in lieu of hands-on patient care. And it's not what you signed up for. It's not what you were expecting. And I know it has not been easy. So I really commend you for sticking with it, getting through these challenges. And hopefully in the long run, this will be just a little blip, like a little bump in the road on what is hopefully a long and successful nursing career. So I thought it might be good to just reflect on all the other obstacles that you guys have had to overcome to get to this point in your journey. So I have a couple questions for you. So, and just answer me in the chat if that sounds good, and we'll just kind of keep this low key and casual. How many of you have had to make significant personal or financial sacrifices in order to go to nursing school? How many of you guys have had to do that? 100,000%. For sure. So like I mentioned, my first degree was in engineering. And when I decided to go back to nursing, I kind of teed that up with my husband, like, yeah, I'm thinking about not doing engineering anymore and going back for nursing school, which was met with a little like, really? Like, you sure that's what you want to do? Because that really meant a significant amount of time and cost for me to make that transition. So I went to nursing school when my kids were right before puberty, which is a really special time. If any of you guys have kids or older kids, things get a little dicey around that time. And that's when I went back to nursing school. And so a lot of the childcare just fell in the lap for, my husband's lap for him to take care of. And I, of course, had all that mom guilt of missing a sports game or a band concert, and for studying constantly. It was a huge sacrifice for my family, for me to go back to school. So it sounds like you guys have had to make sacrifices as well. All right. And then the other thing too, when I was in nursing school, so I don't know how it is in Ohio, but in Southern California, trying to get a job out of school as a new grad is incredibly competitive to try to get those new grad positions. So I actually had to get my foot in the door at the hospital while I was going to school. So I actually worked as a transporter while I was going to school in an accelerated bachelor's program while having two kids. It was a lot, and it was a lot of stress. in fact, it was so much stress that at one point I ended up with shingles because, stress is kind of like a trigger for having shingles occur. So anyway, and then I was, feeling bad about the whole shingles thing. I'm like, that's some old lady stuff. And I don't understand why I'm getting shingles. But then one of my classmates who's like 25 ended up with shingles too. And I felt bad for him, but I also was like, okay, so young people get it too. Stress can bring that out. And I don't know if you guys can relate. Did you in your nursing journey ever get sick from all the stress? Because, I sure did along the way. All right. Oh, that's where you're from, San Diego. So Leticia Hill. We love San Diego. We're kind of north of San Diego in the Encinitas area. So we love it out there. Okay, let me ask you guys this. How many of you have ever failed a class or did not get the grade you needed on a test in order to move ahead in your program? Has that ever happened to you guys? So I know a lot of nursing students out there, this has happened to them because nursing school is brutal. Let's see, definitely sick from stress, but then also caught COVID from a patient while working during the thick of COVID at Christmas, which made my last year of nursing school so challenging. Oh, Maria, I am so sorry. That's way worse than my shingles. So were you able to stick with it? Did you have to step out for a while, or were you able to continue with school? And Jenny Rose, I've gotten very close to failing Pharm 2, but barely made it through. It's hard. So the stress is hard. Nursing style exams are hard. So I remember when I was in my fundamentals class in nursing school, and my instructor kind of warned us, like, a lot of you are not going to be very happy when you get your grades back from like that first proctored exam. And she was right. People were kind of losing their mind after that. And because that's the first time you're, presented with a questions like, what is your priority action, right? And they give you like 4 right answers. And you're like, I would do all those things. I would do them all. But no, you have to pick one. And that's kind of like, what is going on here? Or those select all that apply questions. Those were kind of a rude awakening for many people. It was also a little, it took a lot of adjustment for me as well. But how many of you guys kind of doubled down, took practice exams, and just learned to adjust, right? How many of you all kind of like, okay, this is what it is. I got to figure out how to answer these type of questions and get through this. Okay, and I see other people here, and yes, had to change degree tracks from nursing to public health while at Kent State, and then finally went back to school. Yes, asking for grace and understanding from my professors for extensions like crazy because my brain fog was so bad. Oh, I feel for you. Maria. Yeah, big shift of viewpoint after that first exam. Yeah, so, but you adjusted, right? After that first exam, you're like, okay, this is what I'm dealing with. And you doubled down and you figured it out and you got over that obstacle. It sounds like some of you guys had to get through other obstacles and had to like switch degree programs and ask for grace. So I want to tell you about a coworker of mine. She was in my accelerated bachelor's of nursing program at Cal State San Marcos. And we had classes that ran year long. So spring, summer, fall, spring, summer, fall. And that summer session is condensed into 10 weeks. And we had peds, OB, and like one other class all in that summer in 10 weeks. And we definitely lost a couple of students during that semester, including my friend from work. She failed peds. And when you fail a class at my school, you get held back a couple semesters and have to retake it and basically graduate later. So she stuck with it. She, did her time, graduated, got a job at my hospital, very, very quickly became a charge nurse because she's an amazing nurse that peds exam in that semester does not define her as a person or her abilities. So she came in as a new grad. She's bilingual. She's so nice, and she's a great nurse. She quickly became a charge nurse. She's now a supervisor over one of the main units at my hospital. So I just wanted to share that little story, because these obstacles and things, these failures, these like bumps in the road, in the long term, they're not going to matter, and they don't define you. So if you want to be a nurse, you got to get over those obstacles and just move on, and just know that that will be part of the rear view mirror, right? And looking forward, you can really have a bright future. Those things don't define you. And yes, peds was way more intense than a lot of people anticipated, Michaela. So peds is kind of like med surg all over again, except for like a lot of new diseases. And also you got to know all the growth and development, et cetera. So peds is very intense. Okay. So it sounds like a lot of you have had some challenges and have had to overcome some obstacles along the way, but you did it. You got over those things. You got to this point in your career. And I would like to stand before you here and tell you that once you graduate and pass that NCLEX, that it's like all smooth sailing and you're not going to have any obstacles, but that is not the case. The good news is that you're not going to have all this test anxiety and like endless hours of studying. That stuff will be in your past, which is great, unless you go back to school for an advanced nursing degree. But that, so that part is good. You won't have to do that stuff anymore. But there will definitely be challenges and obstacles as you start your journey as a new grad RN. And so I wanted to take a little time to provide some perspective on what it can be like to be a new grad and what are some challenges you may face. And then I just wanted to offer a little bit of advice that will hopefully be helpful to you guys, and that I wish I kind of knew before I became a new grad. Just so you guys know where I was coming from. So I definitely was coming from a non-health related career as an IT manager into nursing. And I worked as a transporter while I was in nursing school. So I was really good at like, transferring patients to like the bed, to the gurney, et cetera. But I wasn't like working on the floor as a CNA or anything. And so in general, I'd say I was fairly new to the, medical profession. I'd had my clinical hours and stuff, and I definitely knew how to talk to patients, et cetera. But I wasn't as familiar with like giving report and kind of the flow of the floor. So anyway, that first year, I got a job as a new grad on a med-surg tele floor. It was intense. So my particular floor, it's not a step-down unit, but it probably should be a step-down unit. Patients on that unit are very, very sick with many comorbidities. And having a full patient load with very complex patients was really, really challenging as a new grad. And so my advice to you guys is to give yourself a lot of grace. Okay. You're going to be learning a lot during that first year. It's not going to feel totally comfortable, and you're going to like maybe be frustrated with yourself, and you just need to remind yourself that you're learning and give yourself that grace. And you need to make sure you're asking lots of questions. So for you guys, having gone to school during the pandemic and with COVID, and you guys are likely having, online simulations in lieu of hands-on patient experience, that's just going to make matters a little worse. But come to the unit wherever you're going to be working, and just be really honest about what you know how to do and what you don't. So I find that, at least at my hospital, that new grads coming in during this time, that they're given more grace from the people around them, because they know that they haven't had as many opportunities to do that hands-on patient care. So come in with a good attitude, make sure you're asking lots of questions. Do not jeopardize your license at any time. If you haven't done something before, or you're not comfortable with a particular skill, then you absolutely need to ask for help or for someone to supervise you that first time, instead of trying to like jump in there and figure it out on the fly. So that just really puts your license at jeopardy. You don't want to do that. And it's really not what we're expecting new grads to do. So make sure you're asking for help and asking questions every step of the way. Now, as a new grad, you may encounter some nurses on the floor who've been working there a long time and may be difficult to work with a little bit, right? Because they've been there a long time, they have all this experience, and they're seeing these new grads come in with like bachelor's degrees as opposed to possibly their associate's degree. And sometimes new grads can come in and have, not all the time, but occasionally that kind of know-it-all kind of smarty pants type attitude. So definitely don't come in with that attitude. Just come in with this, like, as an open slate, wanting to learn. And if you come in with that good attitude and wanting to learn from these more experienced nurses, that will often help you to get them on your side. Really, you want to try to encourage them to take you under their wing and really help you on your journey. It's not going to be possible with all of those nurses, right? But it is possible with some. So I just want to tell you a little story I had with a more experienced nurse when I was a new grad. So I was a new grad on night shift, and I was giving report to the oncoming day shift nurse, and our patient that I was giving report on had a feeding tube set up, was getting tube feeding. And she's like, the bag's almost empty. Can you please change that out before you go? And I was like, I'd be happy to do so. I just haven't done that before. So could you watch me? And she was like, are you kidding me? And like, I got the whole eye roll and like, are you serious? And I'm like, yeah, no, I am serious. I've never had to do the whole change out of the tubing, et cetera. And it might not be hard, but I just would like someone there the first time. And so I got but she watched me, she did it. It honestly wasn't a big deal, but I wasn't comfortable doing that for the first time by myself. And then later on, but I kind of stood my ground, like, no, I haven't done this. And yes, I need someone to watch me the first time. Later on in the shift, she kind of, she came up to me. She's like, did I hurt your feelings earlier? And I was like, yeah, you kind of did. You hurt my feelings. And I just left it at that. And then she was kind of like, oh, I'm sorry. Right. And by holding my ground and just being honest and not making excuses for the fact that I hadn't done this before and that she hurt my feelings, it kind of made her respect me better after that. Like, we actually get on great now. When I come to the floor to see her patients as a wound nurse, she's super respectful. And I think it helps to just be honest, stand your ground, and insist that you get that help that you need. So definitely don't be intimidated as a new grad. Don't feel like you got to go figure stuff out on your own. Hold your ground, ask for that help. All right, I'm going to read a comment here from Maria. Honestly, I'm finding on my unit, it's the nurses with like 5 or 10 years of experience that are more harsh and less understanding than most of the experienced veteran nurses. On my unit, at least, the veteran nurses kind of mom us and protect us. That's fabulous. It's a dynamic I was not prepared for. I had always heard the veteran nurses were the harshest nurses eat their young people. Well, that's great that you can get those veteran nurses on your side, because honestly, they have seen and done everything. They have seen it all over the time they've been there. And that experience is gold. It means so much. They know when they start seeing certain symptoms or certain things happening, they know immediately that that's a precursor to a complication that as a new grad, you may not fully know. I look back at some of my patients and some of the things going on. I'm like, you know what? I probably should have recognized that might have been a precursor to this complication, but at the time I just hadn't had that experience. So that is fabulous, Maria, that those experienced veteran nurses are taking you under their wing. That's fabulous. But seriously, good for you for sticking up for yourself and your learning. Yes, I had to do that. I kind of had to swallow that pride and just stand there like, yeah, no, I need help. And it was hard at the time, but then when it all worked out, it just kind of empowers you to do more of that. Okay. Jenny Rose, I've had young, less experienced nurses give more attitude in clinical. I wonder if they feel insecure about their own skills. Yeah, sometimes that kind of attitude, bad attitude, comes from a place of low self-esteem or like low self-confidence. But that's really unfortunate, right? Because when you don't feel confident about your skills, definitely the answer is not to lash out at other people or to have that kind of attitude. I feel like a good attitude is everything. You can always teach a nurse new skills, right? Like, it's not hard. But what you can't teach necessarily is a good attitude. So coming into your workplace with a good attitude, asking lots of questions, not jeopardizing your license, asking for help is totally the way to go. My other tip for like when you're starting your new grad position is bring in some food for your unit and for your preceptor. Now with COVID, you might have to like get something that's like individually wrapped or whatever. But nurses love food. Like, you have like no idea. They're like vultures when it comes to food. So if you come in with some treats that are like individually wrapped, and maybe I brought in from my preceptor, I brought a card on the first day with an extra treat for her. And on my card, I was like, thank you so much for agreeing to be my preceptor. And I look forward to learning from you, etc. I think it really meant a lot to her. And it just started us off on a good foot. And so I would recommend food, treat, and a nice card for your preceptor to let them know that they are appreciated. Okay. Let's see. We talked about the older nurses. Okay. The other thing I wanted to talk about here is to not throw in the towel if you don't like the unit where you're working on. So there's a lot of research that shows that a sizable percentage of new grads leave the profession completely within the first 2 years. So, recent research I've read shows that a third of new grads leave nursing completely within those first 2 years. And what a shame that is, because there are so many different paths that you can take as a nurse. You do not have to work on a med-surg floor. You don't even have to work in a hospital. You could do research, diabetes education. Within the hospital, there's so many different types of roles. You can be an OR nurse, an ICU nurse. You could be a wound nurse like me, diabetic educator, case manager. There's so many things you can do. And so I urge you, if the unit you start on, whatever job you get as a new grad, if that is not for you, if you are not having fun, do not throw in the towel. Think about a different path and what could be right for you, and figure out how to get over to that area. So at my hospital, they let new grads kind of shadow other nurses sometimes, or do like rotations to feel out other nursing paths. So a lot of new grads actually come and shadow me as, shadow me as a wound care nurse to learn more about wound care, and also just to kind of explore that path. And they'll just shadow me for like 4 hours, occasionally the whole day. And it really helps them to kind of understand that nursing path, but also just learn about wound care in general. So anytime you can do a shadow experience, or within clinical rotations, if they let you rotate out to a particular unit, that's great too. So when I was in clinicals, they let me rotate out to OR. And I thought I wanted to be an OR nurse during nursing school. I thought that sounded great. And I went to the OR for my one day where I rotated out. And first of all, it was freezing. It was like 64 degrees in there. So that was like strike one, because I don't like the cold. And then the nurse was basically sitting outside the sterile field, like on a computer charting the whole time, and the patient's unconscious on the table, and there's a surgical tech there. And she was just basically charting the whole time. And I really like talking to people, like talking to my patients. So I was like, yeah, I'm not sure why I thought I wanted to be an OR nurse, since I like to talk to my patients. So the fact that it was cold and I couldn't talk to my patients, I was like, yeah, OR nursing is probably not for me. I can see a world where I could enjoy it to a certain extent, but really, I was able to quickly find the path that was right for me. It was kind of a fluke. So I had finished my new grad period, which was like 9 months in length, and they told me that I was gonna have to go back to night shift. And I was like, I'm not really gonna go back to night shift because night shift was pretty brutal on my mental and physical health. So I started looking for other positions, and there was an opening for a wound care nurse, and I didn't mind doing wound care, but I hadn't had a lot of experience with wound care. I had decided to pursue it mostly because the schedule was really good, and also because I thought wound care was cool. And it turns out it was the best job ever. I remember the first day on the job, I was like, whoa, I get to do this every day when I'm here. This is amazing. And it was a good fit for my personality. So I'm a perfectionist, and I like to have all my I's dotted and my T's crossed. And that doesn't work so great on a med surg floor because you're kind of running around fighting fires, and some of those I's don't get dotted and some of those T's don't get crossed because you're just trying to take care of like getting everyone their meds, making sure they get down to surgery, replacing their potassium. You're just kind of running around. With my current job, I'm able to, we work hard, and I've worked a lot of overtime over the past year or two, but it's like one patient at a time, and it's pretty focused work. So I may be in a patient's room for 1 to 2 hours and just have like 4 or 5 patients that day. So it's more individualized and more in-depth care that I'm providing, and it works well for my personality. But I know there's many other professions that will, other nursing paths that are a better fit for other personalities. So Maris, the president of your association, she works in the emergency room, and that really works well for her personality, and which probably wouldn't work great for mine. But it's all about trying to figure out that path that you're interested in. See if you can get a taste of that path through like shadowing or doing a rotation in clinicals, and and just see if you think you would like it. If you think you would, try to chart a path to get over to that job, try it out. If you don't like it, go somewhere else. There's so many different things that you can do. So I urge you to not be discouraged, and stick with something, and leave the profession, or stick with something that you don't enjoy, because there are a lot of different opportunities out there. Okay, I read a study that the majority of nurses pre-COVID left their jobs within the first 3 months. Yeah, I don't find that surprising at all. Also do externships, residencies if you can. For sure, if you can just get exposure to different job opportunities, that's great. And you may have to ask for them. You may have to advocate for yourself. So some of the new grads at my hospital really had to specifically ask to come and shadow wound care nurses. So don't just assume that they're going to make that happen for you. If they don't, then ask specifically for that. And I find that a lot of supervisors are, pretty accommodating and will try to make that happen. Let's see. So I want to wrap up before we do some Q&A here. I want to wrap up by providing you some advice on how to stay resilient while you're finishing out your nursing school and chapter of your journey, and then how to stay resilient as you become a new grad. So my first piece of advice is to stay physically strong. Okay. So staying physically strong will actually help you stay mentally strong as well. And it will also prevent injury at the workplace. So as a nurse, it's obviously a very physical job. You're lifting patients up, you're transferring patients over, you're helping to ambulate patients. It is very easy to get hurt. So you need to have a strong core and stay physically strong in order to protect yourself from injury. Also, when you are physically strong and you exercise, that releases endorphins, which helps your mental health. It also helps you learn more effectively as well. So when I was in nursing school, my big thing was flashcards, of course, and I took flashcards with me everywhere. And I often combined exercise with flashcards to kind of, check off two things in one event. So I would take my flashcards on a brisk walk, and I would study and get my exercise in at the same time. And I truly found that I learned more and retained more information when I was walking than when I was studying my flashcards just sitting still at home. So that really became my go-to way of studying, was taking flashcards on a walk. And that really helped me to stay physically strong and mentally sharp as I was reviewing that information. So make sure you take care of your physical self, so that you don't get injured and so that you can stay, mentally sharp as well during nursing school and as a new grad nurse. The other piece of advice I have for you is to really surround yourself with honest and supportive people. So there are people out there who will act like they've got it all together, but really nobody has this perfect life and nobody has it all together. You are better served if you can find friends who are honest about their struggles and their concerns, and that you can, team up with and kind of share those things together, right? Having that kind of support network and knowing that you are not alone in your frustrations or your struggles as a new grad can be super helpful. So when I would, mess up things or didn't do things quite right as a new grad or could have done it better, when I talked to other new grads who were struggling with the same things and fumbling or whatever, it helped me to feel better and less stupid, less alone. So definitely make friends with people who are honest and, make them part of your support group. And then my last piece of advice is really to lift up those around you and just be kind to everyone around you. So when I was in nursing school and a lot of my classmates were struggling with their proctored exam, with the exit exam, I spent a lot of hours in coffee shops, kind of tutoring those classmates and helping them study. A lot of hours. And the good news is that it really helped them. They all went on to pass their exit exam and graduate, which was great. What I didn't necessarily anticipate, although I probably should have, is that by teaching my classmates and tutoring them, I actually developed this much deeper understanding of the material myself. So it really actually helped me as well. And since I was tutoring them, word got out and other cohorts were asking for help. So I started tutoring them. And then when that got to be a lot, I just started, making videos and putting them on YouTube. And that turned into Level Up RN being a thing, which has been an amazing thing in my life. So the bottom line is helping others, lifting up people around you. It always leads to good things, like it did for me with Level Up RN. Also in the hospital setting, I'm always saying hi and talking to everybody around me at the unit. So, CNAs, the secretaries, the cleaning staff, like everyone. And when I was in nursing school and working as a transporter, I would park my gurneys down this long hall, and there was a manager who had an office on that hall. And every time I park my gurney, I would just wave and say, hi, hope you have a good day. And, sometimes we would just chit chat. Well, fast forward to when I was done with my new grad period and I was looking for that daytime position and I applied for the wound care nursing position. Guess who was the manager, the hiring manager for that position? Turned out it was that manager in the hall where I parked the gurneys, and she remembered me being friendly and having a good attitude. So even though I had no wound care nursing education or, experience, she took me on because she liked my attitude. So if you guys can just really embrace those around you, be kind to everyone, I feel like that will always come back to you with good things. So part of how I continue to stay resilient. So I've been a nurse for over 5 years now. And, you know, Level Up RN has been a thing now for a number of years is, you know, so the way I stay resilient is really through you guys. I get so many kind comments and success stories, reviews, etc. And that just really reinforces my commitment to nursing and to nursing education. So I want to thank you guys for helping me stay resilient. And I also want to thank you for coming today and letting me speak with you. And I want to make sure, because it's like about 7:40 now, that I allow for time for questions and answers. And also I want to check the chat here too, to see if there's anything else that I can answer or speak on. So let's see, Maria. That's why I loved working for the Flex team as a PSA during school. I floated to numerous hospitals in the system and all the floors. So I really got to poach out what units I liked and didn't like. Yeah, no, that's the best. And actually that was a really cool thing about being a transporter is because I, first of all, I know the whole layout of the hospital where every single unit is, which definitely comes in handy. And, but I also got kind of a vibe on the different units, like, you know, 2 South versus 2 North versus 2 West, and like what units would be, you know, good to work on. So I agree. If any way you can get exposure to different units or areas, you know, that's definitely the way to go. Any questions or things that you have for me, for Maris or anyone else? I'm happy to answer those now. I hope that was helpful. I hope that advice, some of that advice was helpful for you. Sounds like some of you are getting ready to graduate soon. So that new grad period is upon you. I know you guys will do great. Just give yourself a lot of grace as you're learning. All right. Yes, so helpful. I need that reminder as a new grad. I'm so hard on myself right now. Yeah, it's easy to be hard on yourself if you have high standards, and it's just easy to get frustrated with yourself. And I felt that as well. And I wish I'd really gotten that advice before I became a new grad, because it was there's definitely some tough days, and it was hard and easy to be frustrated. All right. How do you recommend we prepare throughout our senior year for NCLEX without deprioritizing current subjects or burning out? Yeah. So, yeah, you don't want to deprioritize current subjects. Some advice I have in terms of how to kind of balance all these priorities. If you have certain assignments or papers or projects that aren't necessarily like high value, you're not learning a ton from them, but you have to do them from school. You obviously want to do a good job, a good enough job on those things. But you really want to focus your energy and attention towards things that are really going to help you grow and learn more. So I would not get super hung up on making certain like papers or projects like picture perfect. There were some times where we had like group projects and group papers, and I'm like reading through it and I'm like, okay, this isn't the best, but it's okay. It's good enough. Let's go ahead and turn it in. And that way we could focus our attention on other things that are more important, like practice exams and learning the material to prepare for NCLEX. There are, you know, obviously different programs and testing platforms that you can use to help prepare for NCLEX. I enjoyed using UWorld when I graduated. So during my program, my school used ATI. After graduation, I used UWorld. And I appreciated the rationales and explanations that UWorld provided. And my advice is, as you are working through whatever testing platform you want to use to kind of help you in preparing for the NCLEX, that you do those practice exams slowly and make sure you're reading the rationales and explanations for each of the answers, whether you got that problem right or wrong. If you got the problem wrong, then definitely go back and review that applicable material. We at Level Up RN, we have flashcards and videos that can help you with all of those key topics that you need to know for NCLEX. There's obviously a lot of other resources out there as well. So in general, get the job you need to, get the job done on the projects that you're responsible for in school, and try to focus your attention on the things that are helping you learn the material and preparing you for your exit exam and for NCLEX. Okay, and Lacey says, don't get too many resources either. It's too overwhelming. Yeah, if you try to do all these different things to prepare, it can be a lot. So you want to pick a resource that is best suited for your learning style and what you like the best. Excuse me, throat is getting all cloggy.
I also, I did passive studying when I got towards the end, meaning like I wasn't actually like, okay, let's sit down and open a book and like, whatever. So that to me would look like watching Level Up RN videos, watching them, right? I wasn't actually watching them. I was listening to them while I was taking a shower, cooking dinner, folding the laundry, whatever, because I wasn't like trying to like, let me get this information. Let me like really improve. It was more like, I haven't thought about peds in a long time. Like, let me hear some of these words again. Let me like just kind of expose myself to that material again. And that was a good way for me to not feel like I was sitting down, spending hours and hours studying, but also still be exposed to that material. And totally agree with Cathy about like a test bank or something. I even like got an app on my phone that does it. And if I was in the doctor's office, like waiting to be seen or something, I would just bust out a couple of 5-10 questions, because again, I was trying to use my time well so that I wasn't feeling like I was tied to my desk all of the time. And you just set it to do all questions, right? I didn't want to say peds or pharm or whatever, just everything. And then you never know what you're going to find. And sometimes it's helping you study for your current stuff too.
Totally. Yeah, practice exams are a great way, if done correctly, right? Taking them slowly, reading the rationales. It's a great way to kind of fine tune your knowledge and help prepare you for NCLEX. And you can fit, like Mara said, just fit in some of those here and there as the kid pickup line, doctor's office, wherever. Other questions for me? Other things you want to know? We got a small group here, so I'm happy to talk about whatever you guys want to hear about. All right. Well, if that is it, I just want to say thank you again for inviting me out today, and wish you the best of luck with the rest of nursing school and in your career as a new grad. Don't be a stranger. I'm here for you guys, and take care. Thanks again.
Thank you so much, Cathy. This was
All right.
awesome. We really appreciate you giving us your time, and I hope this was helpful to you guys. And it was awesome to hear what you have to say always.
All right. Thanks,
Ms.
guys.
Clark?
Have a great. Yes.
Okay. Hi. I just wanted to say, I'm not sure if you can see me. I just wanted to say thank you so much for everything, because I'm one of your favorites on YouTube. So
yay!
I live for your videos on YouTube. I really helps with my exams. It really helps with my ATI scores. So thank you so much. I really, really appreciate it.
I love that. Thank you for turning on your camera and
Yeah.
And letting me know. I'm so happy that I could be part of your journey, and I'm so happy my videos have helped you. That's why I do this. It means a lot. So thank you so much.
And it sounds like that you're working. Are you by chance working at Scripps Hospital? I am. Yeah, I was working there for 15 years.
Really? Which hospital?
Encinitas.
Oh,
yeah.
So what period of time were you there?
So, way back, not saying my age.
I won't say mine either. We'll just keep that a secret.
In the early 2000s.
Okay.
And at that time, you probably, Jason, the executive, he's probably still working there. Jason?
Yes.
Yep, he's still working there. I was in the I was I'm sorry, EKG tech there.
Okay,
And at
very
that time, Beth was one of the ultrasound techs there, and Cathy.
cool. Okay, very cool. I don't know that, because like as a transporter, I like dump them off at ultrasound, and like there wasn't a lot of time for chit chat there, but
Yeah.
they may still be there, because there's people like the Encinitas Hospital is such a cool, tight knit, like everybody there is so cool and nice.
Yeah.
And a lot of people have been there for a long time, and I love it. That's the only hospital I've ever been at, and I never want to leave, because it feels like a community. It's really nice.
Oh yeah, it's beautiful. Also, my second job was at Camp Pendleton, so that's where, you know, I always work two jobs, because you know living in California is expensive. So
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
So
Oh,
I was
yeah.
also at Camp Pendleton too, as a tech there too. But I can't wait to get home. I'm only here for school. I'm having anxiety separation.
Now, so you came out to Ohio just for school?
Just for school, because
okay. Yeah, and are you going to do your new grad there? Or are you going to try to get a new grad back in California?
Oh yeah, I have a job already lined up. So at Camp Pendleton, so
nice.
They left there because they knew I was going to school. So they said, "Hey, you have a job there." I said, "Okay."
Yay! And you like it there at Camp Pendleton? Is that
yeah,
a good position?
Yeah.
Good.
Oh yeah, we're a military family, so that's all I know. It's just military life, so that's good.
That's fabulous. So you came out there for school, because getting into school in California is kind of brutal and ridiculous. Is that why, or why? Is that what brought you out to Ohio?
Yeah, Cal State San Marcos, I couldn't get in. I mean, it was just so hard, and LA was hard, San Diego was hard. I was on the waiting list for 3 years, and you know the whole story. It's just waiting. So I didn't know. I have a couple family members out here. I said, well, hey, let me sign the application. And I was like, in the next day.
That's amazing. You know, California is super brutal to get in, and I couldn't move. So I had to like actually retake prerequisite. I had to take like 2 years of prerequisites in order to get, and nail them all. Like I had to get straight A's, and I had to like nail my T's in order to get into school. It's super brutal in California.
Well, that's exactly what happened to me. I already have I have a couple degrees, but the sciences were so old, no one would accept them. But Ohio's program was incorporated with the sciences and the nursing clinicals. So I said, okay, I'll do it that way. I didn't mind doing it all over again, because it was already in the nursing program.
Right.
Is retaking them and maybe get into a program in California.
Oh yeah. No, it's super brutal out here for sure. No, I had to retake them all. I spent 2 years doing prereqs, and there was definitely schools that were off the list for me, because my previous degree was in engineering, and my GPA was kind of like not the best, and that really was going to hold me back, right? Like they count that, and that was a problem. So yeah.
Oh yeah, I agree with that. I'm competing with younger generation of 3.5 and 4.0, and I wasn't kidding.
I know. Okay, I have to say, you do not look as old as you're like talking like you are, right? Like I'm not seeing that. Like it's not matching up.
Well, I am taking your advice. I am running. I'm doing everything that you're saying. So
totally. You got to take care of yourself, and it just helps everything, your mental health, everything. So, yeah. Well, you look amazing, and that is so cool. And how soon do you graduate? Like, when are you done?
So, during COVID, everything was a mess. So I was supposed to graduate this December, but I failed the class, which is fine. I can it now. I can accept it.
Yes, totally.
So it's pushed back to September. So that's okay. I mean, it's always an exception thing.
Give yourself grace. Give yourself that grace. During COVID, like nursing school is brutal. So my previous degree was in engineering, and I mistakenly thought, like before nursing school, I'm like, how hard can it be? I'm embarrassed to say that, but that's kind of what I thought back then. Well, as you and I and everybody else here in this video knows, it's brutal. It's so hard. because you have to learn the universe of nursing. It's crazy. So yeah, you got to give yourself some grace, especially with COVID, trying to learn online simulations. It's brutal, but you know what? You're going to be an amazing nurse. This is just going to be a little obstacle. You're getting through it, and it's not going to matter in the long run at all. You know?
Yes. Well, I keep going. My specialty is psych, so I want to be a psychiatric nurse
Oh,
for the military guys that came back from Afghanistan and Iraq. And that's my passion. So it's true. The PTSD and anxiety is true. And I just can't wait. I'm pushing through to help the guys, really help the guys. So
that is amazing. We need so many good psych nurses. I'm so happy that you're motivated and like want to do that path, because they need you. There's so many patients that need good psychiatric, nurses out there for sure. And it doesn't even matter what unit people work in, you're going to deal with psychiatric issues no matter where you are, but obviously really on a psychiatric unit. That's fabulous. So you got about a year and then you'll be coming back.
Yes. I'm already packed my stuff. So
yeah, you're already packed.
My stuff is packed.
So you're that's funny. That's funny. You're ahead of time. I love it. I love it.
I do love the snow here. I do. It's beautiful. Don't get me wrong. Definitely the hospitality is beautiful, but I'm a beach girl and, can't wait to put my feet in the water again.
Oh yeah, for sure. For sure. No, the people in Ohio are so nice. And I said, I have a special place in my heart for Ohio. I love Ohio, but yeah, the weather can't be beat in California for sure. And the beaches. Yeah, it's pretty nice.
Thank you so much for listening. I'm sorry for venting a little bit, but.
Oh yeah, no, we got a small group. So this is awesome that we got a chance to do this. So glad that my videos have been helpful, and good luck with your last year.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
All right. Take care.
Bye.
Bye. All right. I think that's it. Is that it?
Yeah, that was awesome. Thank you so much.
All right. Have a great day.